Okay, so I'm going to recommend, in order to start this assignment, everyone start with the horizon line in the middle of the page. And I do think this works best if you do it in landscape orientation like this. Um, and roughly draw a straight, and you should be using a ruler too. Roughly draw a line in the middle. It could be a little bit above them or a little bit below. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle, but close enough to the middle. And so 3 boxes of 1 point perspective. They all these boxes go to this. Here's the vanishing point. All these boxes go to the same vanishing point. And when you do your 1 point perspective, they don't have to be all going to the exact same vanishing point. If I can show you an example of what I mean, like this box, for instance, if I were to move it over to over here, it would still be a 1 point perspective box, but its vanishing point will be going off to another point on the horizon line. So if you want all of them to be using the same vanishing point, that can work. But if you want each one to have a different vanishing point on the horizon line, that'll be fine. Long as for the 1 point perspective boxes, the point is on the horizon line. And for the 2 point perspective, let me just go back to the beginning of this. You're going to need 2 points on the horizon line. Keep them far enough apart. The problem is that it always happens if students put the vanishing points too close together. It'll start to distort the box in a naturalistic way. You can also have the vanishing points going off the page. That's possible too. It doesn't have to go right on the edge of the page. It can literally be, 3, 4, 5 inches going way off the edge of your page. And if you do that, you probably are going to need to have a drawing board or a table where you can mark on it where the point is. So here's an example. So again, horizon line is your eye line. So if the box is on the horizon line, you won't see the top or the bottom. The minute it goes above, you see underneath it. The minute it goes below, you see on top of it. And the reason why I think this is good to know, because I'm not really interested in drawing boxes, but I'm interested in drawing things that look realistic. So the example I always give is if this is a head and you're looking at two eyeballs, and then if you're looking at a nose, you'd be looking underneath the nose, and this would be underneath the chin. You wouldn't see the top of the head because this is above your eye line. If you turn the one at the bottom into a head, you would see the top of the nose. You wouldn't see underneath the nose, but you would see the top of the head. This would be like someone low to the ground or a child. So the goal is to get you to just know how to technically do these, but then how to sort of conceptualize things sort of in perspective. Like for instance, if you were to continue this drawing, let me see if I can do it. Let's say this guy had a neck. This is his neck. And it attached to this body. And let's say this was his shoulder. So his shoulder would start here. It's really hard to do on the touchpad. And his other shoulder would be on the other side. You wouldn't see it. So you would see how this arm attached, but you wouldn't see how the other arm attached. So the point being is you always want to think of how can you think of perspective applying to other things other than just simple boxes. But refer to the description of the assignment. I want you to do 3 1-point perspective boxes all in one page composed, 3 2-point perspective boxes, and they can be anywhere, and you can overlap them too. So it doesn't have to be. So for example, you can have a 1-point perspective box in front of this box right here, like, or in front of these two like this. Let me see if I can fill it in. Oops, it's not filling it in. It's not opaque enough. But so the whole box would cover up these other boxes. So you can think when you're doing the assignment, you can think of how do I sort of overlap, put things next to each other, put things behind and front. It doesn't have to all be perfectly separate. Let me try to show you something else too. So and then I also mentioned that you need 3 tilted boxes. So what does that mean? The 3 tilted should not go on the same horizon line. So like if I were to take this box and move it around and tilt it, that could work in this world. It's just its vanishing point is going to be, it's going to have a separate vanishing point that runs along here. You can see you can still trace these lines to points on a horizon line, but it's not going to be the baseline horizon line. So this is what I mean by tilting. It's a little confusing, but you're going to have 3 that tilt. Sometimes I recommend students who are having difficulty trying to tilt is to just trace a box and then trace it again and then tilt the paper so it looks like it's completely separate. This is always hard to do because students, once they start drawing their baseline horizon line and they start attaching vanishing points to this line and it comes time to do the tilted ones, it's really hard for them to do that because they keep wanting to lock this down onto the same baseline horizon line. And the tilted ones are going to have their own horizon line that have nothing to do with the first horizon line that you drew. So try to come up with an interesting composition. You can draw boxes really tiny. Like if you want to put a tiny little one in front here, put a giant 1-point perspective box behind this one going off the edge, you can do that. It's just a way of experimenting with different types of perspective. And the extra credit was to be if you want to add things, like if you want to turn it into something, like if you find this really boring, like this box, turn it into something like, I don't know, like turn it into a flying car, or turn it into, you could turn things into organic shapes too. You can draw heads or animals inside, but that's for extra credit. If for those of you who find the box is too simple.